This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
And it's another great day. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to ask you right from the start, have you any issues with debt? Do you have any issues with debt? Are you in debt? Do you have credit card debt? Do you have debt that is eating you alive? If you want to get to wealth, you got to learn how to handle the debt. And today, that's what we're going to talk about with one of the greatest experts on getting out of debt on the planet. And you're going to be glad you tuned into this show today. Well, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I did not seek it. I did not choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account. If I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternity is wrapped up in it. I'm grateful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to be on with you wherever you may be in the world. I'm grateful for you taking time out of your schedule to be on with me, whether you're listening on the radio or whether you're listening on the podcast. I am grateful for you. You know, I start with that minute, God's Minute by Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, who was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor. And after I give that God's Minute, I take a moment in every show to give God some glory, to give him some praise, to thank him for life and strength and health. I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. And I take a moment to express that great gratitude and give God some glory. And I know everybody doesn't believe like I believe, think like I think, but let me tell you, I have learned where my bread is buttered and who's doing the buttering, and I'm going to take a moment to thank him for everything. I'm not just thanking him for the fact that this is the number 1 self-help show in the country now. I'm not just thanking him for the podcast being in the top 5% of global downloads. I'm not just thanking him for the best-selling books and the speaking and the revenues that we've been able to generate. I'm thanking him for life. Come on, somebody. Life and strength and health. And I'm grateful. And then I'm grateful for you, each and every one of you who have made this the number one self-help show and one of the top downloads, because you've told your friends, your family members, your co-workers, keep doing that, please, because you made it possible. And then I always take a moment to thank our sponsor, Truist Bank. Two great banks, BB&T and SunTrust, decided to stop being competitors and to be cooperative and work together. They created a new bank called Truist, and they built this new bank on one solid principle: caring for others. And when you start with care, you really do build a different kind of bank. Truist, check them out. Well, my guest today is a dear friend of mine. He's one of the greatest teachers on getting out of debt I've ever met. His name is DeForest Soaries. He is a former pastor, former Secretary of State of New Jersey, former chair of the Federal Elections Assistance Commission. He's a best-selling author, a dynamic speaker, and he hosts a Sirius XM show every week. See, for over 30 years, he was the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in New Jersey, where he launched a movement called dfree to help people to get out of debt and get on with creating real wealth. He started with his church members, where he taught the importance of spiritual growth, plus educational excellence, plus economic empowerment, and faith-based community development. The dfree financial freedom movement has gone on to help thousands and thousands and thousands of people become financially self-sufficient. His groundbreaking work was featured in a CNN documentary capitulating him to national recognition as a leading figure in financial education. He has authored 12 books, including the bestsellers Say Yes to No Debt and Say Yes When Life Says No. As I said, he hosts a weekly Sirius XM show on Urban View called For Your Soul, where he shares his insights on financial empowerment and spiritual growth. He served in many capacities over the years in different government agencies and organizations, and he was specifically chosen by Coretta Scott King as a keynote speaker at the 2000 Martin Luther King Jr. celebration in Atlanta. And I had the honor of first meeting and developing a friendship with him when we were both featured speakers on the MoneyWise tour with Kelvin Boston. We traveled around the country encouraging and inspiring people to get wise about their money. And I have had the honor of speaking at his church, and we are dear friends. And I love this brother, and I want y'all to get to know all that he does. Buster Soaries, so glad to have you on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Willie Jolley, the best of the best. God bless you, and it's so good to be with you today.
Well, thank you. Well, we're going to jump right in here because you have done something that's remarkable, helping people to get out of debt. First of all, what is dfree?
Well, I learned about money by being broke. I've never taken a course in finance. I don't have a degree in finance. I've got 3 earned degrees. None of them are in money. In fact, when I got my doctorate degree in ministry, none of my courses had to do with managing personal or church finances.
Wow.
But I was living above my means. I was using credit cards as though they were income. I was living paycheck to paycheck, dressed up on the outside, but messed up in my finances. Yes. And I lived that way for 13 years and discovered that making more money was not the solution to my financial problems. I had to change my mentality. Yes. I had to change my relationship with money. And the catalyst was the death of my 81-year-old grandmother, who had 6 children and a husband who could not work because he was physically disabled after their 6th child. She had no education. She was a seamstress, and she spent all of her life sewing other people's clothes. But when she died at 81 with no civil rights, no husband to help her, she owned 3 houses paid for.
Wow.
One of those houses she left to me and one of my uncles to own. And at her graveside, I said to myself, if my Black grandmother could die rich with no education and no big job, then shame on me if when I die, all I have to leave is credit card bills. And so I promised God and myself and the memory of my grandmother that I had to change. And the first change was my mind. I had to understand that my self-worth was not equal to my net worth. I had to learn that being dressed up did not make me important. I had to learn that wearing designer labels for me was a waste of money.
Yes.
And so once I did that, then the first step for me was to lower my lifestyle expenses. I was driving nice cars, paying big rent, thinking I was important, but I had no savings. I had no investments. I had no insurance. Now, mind you, Dr. Jolley, I was financially literate. So you'll not see or hear me talking about financial literacy. I was financially literate. I could pass a test on interest rates. I knew the rule of 72. I knew how to balance my checkbook. My problem was not literacy. My problem was my mentality. I could do that. And so after I lowered my expenses, the amount of money I spent on a day-to-day basis that I discovered by tracking my spending, then I started paying off debt because it didn't make sense to learn about investing in the stock market to get 8 to 12% return. And I'm paying 18 to 25% interest on credit cards.
Right.
And that's why we start with debt. DFree is being delivered from debt delinquencies, that's paying late fees because you're disorganized, and deficits, living above your means.
Wow.
Now, all freedom, as you know, all freedom is freedom from something and then freedom to something.
Right.
So once we were free from debt delinquencies and deficits, I and then my wife were able to be free to make deposits on our own accounts, earn dividends on our own investments, and have our names on deeds because we now own real estate that grows in value.
Amen. Amen. And so first you did it for yourself. Now I got to take a moment there. You were the eldest grandchild of your grandmother.
Exactly.
And so that is why you got in on the house with your uncle, and y'all were able to make a profit on that piece of property and go from there as well. So that was a big part of your success, and you found the way to use that money to help create your generational wealth. That's what we call real generational wealth, when you can take a asset and help it to get to other generations of people and help them to learn about wealth and how to create it. Am I right?
That's right. Starting with my grandmother's house, every time I sold a real estate asset, I never spent the money. I always took the profits from that sale and invested it in more real estate. The houses that I own today, I own because I was able to take the profits from previous real estate holdings and invested in these houses.
Wow. Wow. And I believe you have two sons, twin sons. Am I correct?
Twin sons. The oldest is Malcolm. The youngest is Martin. And they are grown. Thank God. They both have jobs. Thank you, Jesus. And they are brilliant writers and communicators. They majored in communications. One actually works with me on my digital content, and he works on DeFree projects. The other is in fashion.
Amen. Amen. Well, I love when you talk about your family. You had another grandmother too, who also, and I love the story that you share about her and the fact that her husband, I believe you said, was an alcoholic, so he never made money, but she always had money. And she didn't have no bank account. She didn't have, no big bank account. She didn't have no credit cards, but she did what my mama did. When you asked a little bit of money, she pulled that money out of my mama had a little bag, and she put it out of her breast pocket.
That's right.
Am I right about it?
She had a bosom bank. Yeah. That was my mother's mother. My father's mother owned the real estate. My mother's mother also owned her own home.
Wow.
She was a domestic worker. She owned her own home. She and her aunt went in together and they owned a house. And most of us at some point in our lives in the family lived there. But my mother's mother always had money. She had about 25 grandchildren. And whenever we needed $1 or $5, you're right. She'd go to her bosom, pull out her handkerchief and give us some cash. If we wanted big money, like $20, she'd roll up her skirt. And she had this stocking, the knot at the top of her stocking. She kept the big bucks in her stocking and she the chump change in her breast. So we always called the bosom the credit union and the stocking the bank account.
I love that because anybody in our culture will remember that. My grandmother was similar. And my grandmother worked until her dying day at 88. She died after she had her own home. She owned it. She had a beauty shop that was connected, a business next to that. She went from her home to a beauty shop, never left the house to go to work every day. On the day she died, she did 3 heads. She had a pocket full of money in her smock, and she sat down after the end of the day and just went home to be with the Lord and left us enough money for me to put down on my home that I live in today. Okay. And so that's, again, a generational wealth. That's for real, for real. What we're going to do is take a quick break, folks. We got to come back because I want him to go deep into this process of getting out of debt, because that's the way to get out of your slavery, as the Bible says. You're a slave to somebody, and get to freedom. We'll be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. You can call on me when you need me. You can call on me. Call me. You can call on me. Pick up the phone. You can call and call me.
Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Dr. Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show comes from Truist Bank. When you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Home ownership is a blessing. That's right, it's a blessing. And the ability to build equity, value in a home that you own can be the foundation of creating wealth. Wealth that can be passed on for generations. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Well, Truist can help you buy a home with a low down payment. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about the options available to you. Reach them by calling 855-257-4040, 855-257-4040. They really care. You can also visit truist.com/homebuyer, truist.com/homebuyer to calculate your mortgage payment. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender. Remember, visit truist.com/homebuyer or call 855-257-4040. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show and podcast all around the world. We are grateful for all the people globally who are getting this information, and I encourage everybody to continue to tell their friends, family members. And if you are listening from somewhere outside of America or the United States, then send me an email. Just say, I'm from Greece, I'm from Russia, I'm from South Africa, I'm from Nigeria, wherever you are, and say, I'm listening in on the podcast or the radio if you get that. And we'll send you give us your email, which you send us an email at info@williejolly.com, info@williejolly.com. I'll send you a digital gift, a little digital book that will just encourage you and tell your friends to keep this in their lives and be accessing it as well. And then I want everybody, wherever you may be, to go to winwithwillie.com. Winwithwillie.com is the suite of sites. I got my business site website, my personal motivational website, my music motivation website, my youth motivation website, our faith-based website, our marriage, Jolly Marriage is there. How to become a speaker is there. We got a bunch of stuff for you, and a lot of it you can access and get free resources, and then others that you can invest in your future and your thinking. My special guest is my dear friend. He is the pastor of, or was the pastor of, the First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in New Jersey. He retired just a few years ago, and now he's able to do his full work, which is helping people get out of debt and helping them grow their wealth. And he is a best-selling author as well as a Sirius XM radio show host. When is your show on, Buster? Tell so everybody can tune in.
My show is on Sundays on Sirius XM channel 126 Urban View. It airs at 8 a.m. and it re-airs at 5 p.m. every Sunday.
Okay, great. Folks, don't miss that, because that's a show that will bless you, and he's a dear friend. And then I encourage you, one more thing, Buster, where can they get your books and your resources? They need to have those.
Yeah, my website is D as in David, B as in boy, Soaries, dbsoaries.com. My speaking schedule and speaking requests, my books, my podcast, my everything, like Willie Jolley. I'm copying you. And so my core platform is there, and you can connect with any aspect of my work through dbsoaries.com.
Excellent. Folks, get all of it. This workbook for this, I'm just going nuts about the workbook for the Say Yes to No Debt. It's fantastic. It's so good. I told my son, I said, son, I'm telling you, you gotta go through this. My son has a new 3-month-old child, and I said, you got to go through this, because
it breaks it down into bite-sized chunks. What I have found, and what I found in my own life, is that once people decide they want to do better, they don't know how.
Right.
And again, financial literacy gives you the what, but it does not give you the how.
Yes.
And we try to break down the process so that people actually make bite-sized commitments. For instance, open your mail. Open your mail. What happens is, when you become financially stressed, or when life becomes stressful, even beyond finance, you have a tendency to not open your mail. That's what I did.
Yes.
When I couldn't even afford to pay the minimum payments on my credit card bills, the bill would come and I would just put it in the shoebox over in the corner. I would not open my mail. And so we encourage people to do very specific things. We teach people, spend at least 7 minutes a day doing something about your finances. Read your bills, listen to a podcast, turn on a TV show about money. You've got to expose yourselves to, we had to expose ourselves to facts about money, and not the fiction you get in the beauty shop or the barber shop.
Right.
And the workbook simply took the textbook, which is Say Yes to No Debt, and took each chapter and each level, how to get started, get control, get ahead, and give back, but to break it down into very specific bite-sized tasks to do, to ensure that once you finish the process, you are really in a different place financially.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go right into that's kind of dovetail from what you just said, because you talked about getting out of debt. In this workbook, you tell this a couple things that caught my attention. One, you said, I like button-down shirts, and for years I was buying button-down shirts that had a little polo on it. Okay, a little polo player.
That's right.
And that shirt might cost me $59, $69, where I could get the same shirt without the little polo guy for $19.99.
That's right. And when you add it up, that's real money.
That's real money. Another example, you say people want to have a certain brand of designer coffee. Okay, designer coffee. And won't walk around with the cup so everybody can see they drinking designer coffee, where you can get a real good cup of coffee at your house. I do, at least. I go to get the bag that I like the taste of, the type of coffee, and I make it at home. I haven't bought a piece of designer coffee, a cup of designer coffee, and unless I'm traveling in an airport and I have gift cards, then that I use for that. Right. Am I right?
You know what, Willie? I'm embarrassed to say this, and I don't tell everybody, but I used to smoke cigarettes. When I was in my 20s, I smoked cigarettes. Mm-hmm. I didn't stop smoking cigarettes because the Surgeon General put the sticker on the side that says, "Smoke me and I'll kill you. If you break, I'll kill your baby." I wish I could say I stopped smoking for health reasons. I stopped smoking because when I started adding up the cost of the things that I spent money on that did me no good, smoking was high on the list. So I stopped smoking because I wanted to reallocate that money to something that would help me, rather than spending it on something that would kill me. Yes. And so we talk in the workbook, you saw it, about spending leaks.
Yes.
Spending leaks, things that cause the money to just leak out of our pockets.
That's right.
Going to things that we really don't value and don't need. we also talk about knowing the difference between our wants and our needs.
Right.
That our priorities have to be around the things we need. And when we have to make choices, I don't care how much money you have, you've got to make choices. Every dollar you spend on one thing is a dollar you're not using for another purpose.
Right.
And so it takes priorities, it takes strategies, it takes budgeting. That's all a budget is. A budget is a strategy for using the money you have in the way that's most important for your present and your future.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about how you kind of touched on it already, but how did you get out of debt? You were in debt. You were buying cars that were big, fancy cars, so you could look like a supporting preacher and things like that. You talk about it. You look. I love the fact that Buster Soaries is a truth teller. Okay, he tells the truth, the hard, cold truth. He don't be pulling no punches. He said, I bought these cars because everybody else had a Cadillac or Lincoln Continental. I figured I'd get one because I look like I'm a preacher. I'd get suits that I didn't need.
Right.
So how did you get out of debt?
And not only did I look like a preacher, I felt like a preacher. We'll talk about that later on because money has a lot to do with our emotions and our feelings.
Yeah.
I did some very specific things. First, I broke my lease on my bachelor apartment, moved out of that apartment, moved to my mother's house and slept on the floor in her house in a sleeping bag for 6 months. She didn't really have room for me, but I needed to save that rent money and use it to pay down debt.
Right.
Second thing I did was I sold my luxury car, late model car. I bought a used 2-door Honda with no air conditioning and an AM radio. And I spent cash for it. So I got rid of my car payments and I got rid of my rent on my apartment.
Yep.
The third thing I did was I used all of the extra money to pay down my debt. I made a list of all of my debt, my credit card bill, my furniture bill, my car note. I made a list of all of my debts, and from the smallest to the largest, I paid as much as I could on the smallest. I paid as little as I had to on the rest. And I paid those debts off one by one using what we call the snowball method, which is a popular method.
Right.
So I did that. And then the final thing I did was to create a budget and goals. I wanted to get married. This was 4 years before I got married.
Wow.
I could not afford to get married. I think my wife thought I was praying about marriage. I was trying to plan for marriage.
Right.
And so I set goals. You've got to be able to look at where you want to be in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, and then work your way backwards to figure out if I want to be in a certain place in 3 years, here's how I have to behave for the next 36 months.
Right.
Because 36 months from now will be 3 years.
Right.
And if you wait until year 3 to prepare for year 3, you'll be in the same place you are right now.
Wow. You made the hard choices to do the things that were uncomfortable. Now, my wife and I give a quick synopsis that we were tracking. When we got married, we lived in my mama's attic of a little teeny weeny attic that had been storage place that we put up some walls on it to just make sure we could live there. Had no central air, had a little unit in the window, and no bathroom on that level. You had to go down these little teeny weeny steps middle of the night, and we did that for a year. And then had saved enough money to put a down payment on the house along with the money my grandmother had left me. Then when we bought our first car, when our son was born, we bought a brand new car. And it was a family car. I won't even call it a brand because I will call it a brand. They're Volvo. We got sold in by safety. Okay, they're a great safety car. But we bought it brand new. And the guy came over to my father-in-law's house and said, I can make a deal for you. I never asked the interest rate, which you say in your workbook. He said, I'll make it work. It was a 7-year loan.
Oh, my Lord.
We paid for that car 3 times.
Right.
By the time we paid interest, after we paid for it, though, we rode that car until the wheels fell off. And that was a long time. And then we had to get out of our personal debt. And that was hard, but we did it by doing just what Buster Soaries said. Start with the lowest, pay the top as much as you could, but then pay off that bottom, and then you keep doing it. We're going to come right back after station identification. We're going to talk about how you create wealth by getting first out of debt and changing your mentality so you can grow your future and your finances. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and thought to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store, get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show and podcast around the country, around the world. As my dear friend, the late, great Joe Madison would say, from border to border, coast to coast, we are here for you. I'm encouraging you to listen on the radio and then listen to the podcast. Take notes. Always take notes. Short pencils that are better than a long memory any day of the week. And so I want you to take notes. My guest is my dear friend, Reverend Dr. DeForest, the Soaries, but everybody call him Buster. Buster Soaries. Everybody call him Buster. And he's one of the great speakers. When we were on the Money Wise tour, boy, I would sit and take notes. Even though I heard him the weekend before, we did every Saturday. We were hitting, and I'd still take more notes because he would always bring more content. He has helped more people get out of debt than anybody I know. And you have done that in an amazing way. Now, what are the principles, Buster, that you teach for wealth creation via debt reduction? Because you can go. We could talk on this, and I can just let you go for a day, and you still wouldn't get it all out.
Yeah, well, I was a civil rights activist, which means that I was focused on injustice. I was speaking truth to power. And I have to confess that it was years into my ministry before I took Proverbs 22, verse 7 properly. That's where your previous reference was, that the borrower is slave to the lender.
Yes.
So I was ranting about chattel slavery, where Black people were held by racism, but I'd never correlated chattel slavery to financial slavery. So I had to change my mentality. Once I understood that signing up for a 25% credit card, 25% interest rate credit card, was like signing up to work on a plantation for free.
Yes.
Once that's set in my mind and in my spirit, it changed my life. I am as opposed to financial slavery as I am to chattel slavery.
Yes.
So paying interest to a big bank that doesn't need my money, paying last month's bills with next week's check, that lifestyle was the first step. And my advice to people, my challenge, is to change the way you think. Because, the Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he.
Yes.
We have to stop believing that if everybody else is doing it, it's okay to do.
Yes.
That's the first thing. And then to attack the debt. It doesn't matter how you got in debt. Now, I was in debt because of overspending, I was using credit to finance a lifestyle that I otherwise could not afford.
Yes.
Now, I'm not against all debt. I'm not against all credit. I'm against using credit to finance a lifestyle that you really can't afford, but you're using credit to do it and paying high interest rates.
Right.
I still use credit for wealth creation strategies, which we can talk about another time.
Yes.
But the credit that I've used to buy real estate, my tenants paid off the bill.
Right. Right.
So if you have debt that other people are paying off for you, that's good debt.
Good debt. Right.
So
versus bad debt. Right.
So I had to learn the difference between good debt and bad debt. Good debt that helps foster wealth as opposed to bad debt that fosters poverty.
Yes.
And then I had to get organized. And that's why we talk about delinquency. I had a young actress whose name I can't mention call me about getting out of debt. And she didn't know how much she owed.
Wow.
It was just chaotic and the bills weren't organized. And now today with technology, it's easy to be organized. You can put notes in your phone. You can use an app that helps you organize budgets and pay your bills. So getting organized is the second step. Before you get started with any specific strategy, get organized. And then the as I mentioned before, doing a budget. How much income do you have and where is that money going? Because you may need to have a second income just to cover your basic needs.
Right.
But
right.
what you can't do is nothing.
That's
you have to take action. You have to get started. Then you get control. And when you get control, you start allocating money that you're spending on one thing to something different. If I was 25 years old, if I had invested in a universal life insurance policy at 25, I'd have been retired 15 years ago.
Right, right.
So I began listening to radio shows. Today it would be podcasts. I began reading the Wall Street Journal. I began listening to these call-in talk shows where people called in and asked questions about their finances. I really saturated my mind with information about money. People right now lament the political climate, and my position is there are people making money during every season.
That's right.
Whether it's every political season and every financial season. You just have to find out where the money-making opportunities are. Now, it takes time. You can't spend all of your time scrolling social media, watching ratchet stories on TV, and chasing every comedian that comes up with something funny.
Right.
I mean, you have to budget your time the way you budget your money and spend time investing in expanding your mind. That's why I love you, because what you've done is you've packaged the way through your persona and your content. You packaged the way to make expanding one's mind fun and entertaining.
Well,
and that's the key.
Thank you.
The key is you'll make people laugh and learn at the same time. And before they know they're learning, that they're laughing, and before they know it, they're learning.
Amen.
And that's what we have to do. We need more people like yourself, and we need to follow people like you, not just one day a year, but we have to follow persons like you, podcasts like yours, every day of our lives.
Amen. Thank you so much, Buster. You know, one of the things I'm doing now, this book, my new book is coming out soon called Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. And Buster's story about his grandmother is featured in the book. And the book is focused on helping people in an easy way to understand that there's a big difference between being rich and being wealthy. And until you know that difference, you won't be able to achieve that difference. You are under a myth that it's just two different sizes of the same thing, and that's incorrect. Well, I want to keep on going with how did you get your church debt free? Because that's what part of the CNN special was about. You started with yourself, you did it yourself and your family. Then you said, okay, now I'm going to help some others do it. And you started with your church folks, which was hard.
Well, it was hard. I only had one church member who thought I hadn't lost my mind. We built a new church facility. We spent over $23 million in construction. The church was doing well. The church was growing. We grew the church by the Lord's strength from 700 members to 8,000 members. I mean, sorry, 800 members to 7,000 members.
Right.
And while the church was growing physically, people were attending, the church was not growing financially. And there were some people in my leadership team that really thought I should spend more time, quote unquote, raising money. And I told them I got 3 earned degrees and none of them are in fundraising. I'm not a fundraiser. I'm a pastor, preacher, prophet, but not a fundraiser. And I was prepared to resign, Willie. I came to meet with my board, prepared to resign on a Saturday morning. And on this particular Saturday, uncharacteristic for me, I really heard the Lord speaking to me audibly, but he was speaking through the cars in the parking lot. The car parked next to mine had a German accent. The car next to that had a British accent. There was a car on the other side that had an Italian accent. It was a Maserati. And it occurred to me then that my people were living the same way I had been living in my 20s. They were living paycheck to paycheck. They were using credit as income. So I went into my board meeting and said, you know what? We're not going to raise any money, and I'm not going to resign. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on helping our people get out of debt, helping them understand the interest rates on their car loans that they never asked about. You know, people would buy a car, and if the salesman says the payments are $300 a month, they would pay 50% interest. They didn't know what the interest rate was.
They never asked like I did. Never asked.
So I said, I am not a fundraiser. If you want a fundraiser, I'll leave you hire one. What we're going to do is focus not just on the 10% they give in their tithe, but the 90% that they take back home. And in 1 year, having a church-wide campaign, the income of the church went up by $1 million in 1 year, which was 25% of our income at that time. And families were delivered. This was right before the mortgage crisis of 2008. Wow. And the reason CNN did a documentary was because every church they went to, it was gloom and doom. People losing their houses, losing their cars, kids leaving college because they couldn't afford it. They came to First Baptist, people were testifying on Sunday morning during service.
Right.
I paid off my car, paid off my house. And so we were able to help them show that doing this God's way would bless them financially. And so in turn, they blessed the church so the church could pay down its debt.
Wow. Well, you did it first with your church, and then you started helping others. And now you have a whole movement. I mean, it's a movement of DFree. And where can people tap into that movement, Buster?
Well, you can go to dfree.com. Of course, if you go to my website, it'll direct you if you're interested. But what dfree.com does is 2 things. First of all, it connects you to resources. We're actually restructuring it now, Willie, because I'm about to release a digital platform where people can learn and use the tools on their phone. And we've got animated stories. We've got worksheets that you can do all on your phone. And then we've got links to resources to help with banking, with insurance, with all kinds of things. Wow. So dfree.com. Then we have a foundation, and the foundation offers free courses. So the 12-step course that the workbook is a companion to, you can take that course for free. We have a philanthropic arm called the DFree Global Foundation. And so go to dfree.com. There's a link for the foundation. You can train on there for free to become a facilitator. Your church can learn how to use the program. We give all of that away for free.
Wow.
We work with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. We work with Zeta Phi Beta sorority on a national level and a global level. And then we're doing work in the South African Baptist Convention uses our curriculum for their national program. We're in Liberia. The Baptist Seminary in Liberia uses DFree. We're in Ghana, where young people are forming DFree clubs on their jobs. So we're really moving around the globe, and it's just a great honor to be used by God to serve our people like this.
You know, trying to get on his schedule, folks, I called him and left a message and said, Buster, I want to get you on. And I didn't hear from him, which I thought was odd. And then he calls me and says, man, I've been in Africa, man. I've been working in Africa, and I'm just getting back. You were my first call. And so I knew he was doing it on a global level, but I didn't realize how impactful he was in multiple international forums. Well, we're going to take another break for one more our last break, and we're going to come back and talk about some more specifics to help you get debt free, get to wealth, and then create real generational wealth. So don't go away. Stay tuned. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, the best is still yet to come. Be right back.
Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, gonna take it to the top. Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, I'm never gonna stop. I had a job I really hated. It made me sick, but it got me motivated. I knew that this was not where I was meant to be. I didn't want to stay, but I was too afraid to leave. Then one day I got my check, there was almost nothing there. I went to the boss, he laughed and said he didn't care. My kids were at home hungry, I was about to lose my home. That's when I decided I had to make it on my own. Said I, gonna take it to the top. I said oh yeah, said I'm never gonna stop. My friends said I was crazy when I told them all goodbye, but the only one who's crazy is the one who's afraid to try. They said I'd never make it, said I would not survive.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friends said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and will help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come. And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show and podcast with my special guest, Reverend Dr. DeForest B. Soaries. Now, I always thought the B was for Buster, but it's not.
I know. It drives my mother crazy.
Anyway, Buster Soaries is the greatest debt reduction teacher I've ever met. We traveled together on the MoneyWise tour for a number of years, and I would just take notes after notes after notes about his thinking. One of the things, Buster, thank you for being on the show with me again. And I want to ask you about insurance, because many people will start generating revenues, and then they're underinsured, and they don't realize how important insurance is to wealth creation.
Yeah, I didn't understand it myself actually until I was on the board of a bank and I was on the loan committee at the bank. And when I saw how the bank evaluates the credit worthiness of a business in large measure based on how much insurance they have. So it's cash flow and it's assets. But the bank would never lend a business access to capital if they were underinsured. And so I began understanding the role that insurance plays in the larger economy. In a personal sense, I've learned about insurance products where you don't have to die to benefit from your life insurance. I never knew that. I assumed that if you had life insurance, you were simply investing in the people who would survive you. But there are life insurance products that create assets. I paid a big chunk of my son's college education. You know, sending twins to college can be costly.
Very.
A big chunk of their college education from my life insurance policy.
Wow.
Life insurance is an asset, and I was able to pull money out tax-free. So I think life insurance is something that we need to understand, not only for protection, but also for wealth creation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things you write in the workbook is about Martin Luther King Jr. and the fact that he got life insurance. You tell it. It's better for you to tell it. Go ahead.
Dr. King was so busy in the movement. You know, he started as an activist when he was 26. He died at 39, so he was a very young man when he died. Right. And for those 13 years, he was actively involved in protests. He went to jail over 30 times and just did not take the time to take out life insurance. American Baptists owned a company called Ministers and Missionaries Benefits Board, and they were very committed to civil rights and human rights. And it was just shortly before Dr. King died that the representative from MMBB was able to kind of sneak his way into a meeting with Dr. King, take out life insurance on Dr. King. And as a result, Coretta Scott King received a check every month until she died from the life insurance policy that Dr. King took out.
Wow. Folks, I love what Buster said. We usually think of life insurance as death insurance, that you got to die to get it, but it can become an investment, an asset. Also, you need to have, he also mentions in the book about people in America, we are seeing people get disability issues. They're disabled for one reason or the other. And
you know what, really, the workbook that you have is really the second version of the workbook.
Oh, okay.
We updated it. I'm going to do a third edition this year. But in the first edition, I didn't talk about disability insurance at all.
Wow.
I was doing a 6-week series at an insurance company in Massachusetts. And they sat me down and said, listen, are you aware that statistically it's more likely that you'll be disabled before you turn 65 than you will die before you're 65? I had no idea.
Wow.
And I went back to the drawing board, did my research. I updated the workbook primarily because of disability insurance. And the reality is I didn't know that. And most people don't know it today when I say that. And so disability insurance, long-term care insurance, umbrella insurance, replacement value insurance. Look at all of those poor people in California who've lost everything from the fire.
Yes.
If they don't have the right insurance policies, if they don't have an insurance policy that allows them to replace at current value, they'll never catch up.
Right. That's exactly right. Okay, Buster, if you were coming to DC and you were going to speak, and I came to hear you speak, I hollered and screamed in the back and said, that's awesome. Then I took you to lunch, and then we went over to Howard University, my alma mater, American University, or Georgetown, George Washington Catholic. We got a lot of them in DC, Trinity. And we went to a business class, and we got young wannabe success stories. They want to be successful. Give them 2, 3, you got us. If you're going to be successful, here's some things you got to do.
First of all, you have to know where your money's going. I used to ask my dad, can I borrow $50 to payday? And he'd say to me, well, I work, you work. Why do I have it and you don't? And I'd say, well, I don't know where my money goes. And he'd say, well, it doesn't leave home while you're sleeping. Your money goes where you take it.
Amen.
So you have to know where your money's going. I don't care how much money you earn, you have to know where it's going. That's number one. Track your spending and make sure that you're spending in a way that benefits you. The second is start saving and investing, even if it's $5 a week.
Yes.
Develop a lifestyle of saving and investing. If a 25-year-old puts $100 a month into the right kind of investment, he or she will have $1 million before they turn 65.
Yes.
So save and invest, make it a lifestyle, make it a part of your culture. And then the third thing I want to say is become a philanthropist. I'm not interested, Willie, in helping people to get rich and get wealthy just to be rich and wealthy.
Yes.
To whom much is given, much is required.
Yep.
And I want young people to begin not only looking at obtaining things for themselves, but being people that share and support with other people. We have too many people living on sidewalks. We have too many families who, because they lack a crib, lose their children to foster care. That we have to be a caring people, a caring community, and we should not wait until we have $1 million to think about supporting charities, supporting people. I mean, Howard University students need to understand that the great colleges have graduates that give back to their institutions.
Right.
And so Howard students need to know that when they graduate, in addition to all of their great aspirations, one should be to support that university that helped them become successful.
Oh, this is, this is so profound, because this week on my daily radio show on Radio 1 stations, I'm part of Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell. I did a series on creating wealth by giving. That I set a goal every year. At the beginning of the year, I set my giving goal. That's my number one goal. What do I want to give this year? In order to give, I got to get. What I have to get, what I have to, what stuff must I get? How much money must I get and generate? Then I got a doing goal. What must I do? How many radio shows and TV shows and books must I produce so I can get more, so I can give more? The final thing is, what must I be? What must I become as a person? I got to keep developing myself, learning more, interviewing great people like you, so I can be more, so I can do more, so I can get more, so I can give more. And there's a direct correlation between what you give and what you get. I mean, it's a principle. It's a universal principle. People don't believe it, but there's a direct correlation. And that's
it should be given back to you. No question about it. Our 4 levels for D-Free: get started, get control, get ahead, and give back.
Amen.
Without the give back, nothing else matters.
My. This is, folks, this is why I am so grateful. Okay, Buster, last couple minutes, just share whatever you want to share that can help people become better, be better, do better, and achieve better, and get out of debt.
I hear people say all the time that Jesus said, the poor you will always have with you. And somehow that becomes a contorted way to understand that, well, if you're poor, you'll always be poor. And if you're not poor, don't worry about poor people. Jesus never said the same people would be poor. He just said there would always be poor people. Right. And so if I am without much means, if I am broke, if I don't have to stay there. Right. So the fact that I could be where I am today, running from banks to being on the boards of banks, and anybody can do anything. And so for those who are struggling and striving, don't give up, because every day that God gives us breath, God gives us an opportunity to do something we've never done, go someplace we've never been, think something we've never thought, and achieve something we've never achieved.
Oh my God. That's why I love Buster Soaries. Folks, I want you to go to dbsoaries.com, dbsoaries.com. Get all of his resources. It will change your life. I also encourage you to go to winwithwillie.com and get access to all my sites, get my books, and get the new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. You can pre-order it at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. It will be a book I said that every household has to have, and everybody in your household needs to read. I want to thank Buster for being my guest. I want to thank you for being my My listeners, I want to thank Truist again for being my sponsor. They've made a commitment to help people. They've got a website now. Truist.com has a special place on their website called Money and Mindset. Buster just talked about mentality changed everything. Go to Money and Mindset. It's free resources there to help you to understand how to develop your thinking so you can develop your future, so you can develop your finances, and you can create real legacy and generational wealth. Truist.com, Truist.com. Look for Money and Mindset. And then you can, if you need to buy a house, they have low down payment options for you, and they'll help you to get a home at a low down payment and make it make sense for your situation. Finally, I want to encourage everybody to go to jollymarriage.com. Watch our TED Talk. My wife has been married going on 40 years, haven't had an argument in 38 years, and we tell amazingly how that has happened. Not that we always agree, but we figured out a system. So go to jollymarriage.com, watch the TED Talk. Everything you'll need will be there. And then join us every Monday night on A Jolly Marriage at 9 o'clock Eastern on A Jolly Marriage or Facebook, A Jolly Marriage on Instagram, and Willie Jolley LinkedIn Live. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show. And for sure, your best is yet to come. Have a great day. God bless you.
Amen.
Sometimes some rain's gonna fall, and everybody's house sometimes trouble will call. But when trouble stops by, you can sit there and cry, or you can make up your mind. You're gonna stand up and fight. Hey, people, listen closely to the sound of my voice. Success in life is never due to chance, but to choice. You choose to go on.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.